Hey book lovers, Victoria here and you're watching My Books Me, and today I'm bringing you a wrap up that I should have done so long ago and I'm finally sitting down to do it. I don't know why it's taken me so long to film another wrap up, but it has. The last wrap up I did was my May-June wrap up. That was a long time ago and I read a lot of these books sort of back in August. So I will admit that my reviews and my wrap-ups in this video aren't really going to do them justice, but I will say that for all but I think 2 of the books at this point when I'm filming the video anyway have got reviews up on my blog, so I will link below to all of them. Please go and read them if you are interested, because I just know that I'm not going to be able to describe and do any of these books justice because it's felt like forever since I've read them. But let's dive in. Okay, starting off with Rascal by Katie McCoy. This is the first book in the Rascals series. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars and I really need to keep reading this series because I was determined when I read the first book. I was like, yes, I'll just keep going and read the rest of the books. I haven't done that. So this series, the Rascals series, follows 5 friends who open a bar called Rascals. So that's like the main focal point of the entire series. This first book, however, follows our main character Alex, who is a budding lawyer. She's vying for she's not doing an internship or I don't know lawyer speak, but she's vying for like one position at the end of summer. So she's very dedicated to her work, and then her life gets really disrupted when a bar starts getting built below her apartment, and she meets our other main character, Emerson. And of course, sparks fly, and Alex's boss kind of makes it known to her that the company kind of likes their candidates who are very settled and who show commitment. So like one of the other candidates is married and the other one's engaged, and Alex has absolutely no one. So her boss kind of suggests that she bring a date to this work function, and she doesn't really have anyone she can ask, so she asks Emerson just to join her and just kind of make out that they have been dating for a little bit longer than they actually have, which is never. It turns out though Emerson's father is quite a wealthy man in Chicago, and her boss sort of tells her, if you can get his business, like that'll be really great for the company, and also hint hint, really good for you in getting the position. And this is what kind of starts having an effect on Emerson and Alex's relationship. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Katie McCoy is a really great writer. The only thing that I felt a little bit off in this book was like the big drama that kind of splits up our couple, because it made sense but it didn't have enough build up. It kind of just appeared out of nowhere. But otherwise it was really, really good, and I do really need to read the rest of the books. I think they're all out now. Then I fell down the rabbit hole that is Emma Hart. So most of the next books I'm going to be talking about are by her, but she's an amazing romance author. Seriously, one of my favorite. I highly, highly, highly recommend her books. So the first one I read of hers is A 4-Day Fling. I also gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Spoiler alert, most of the books I'm going to talk about in this video I gave 4 out of 5 stars too. So we follow our main character Poppy, who has a one-night stand, and the next morning, instead of just leaving, she asks the guy Adam if she would be her date to her sister's 4-day wedding the next weekend. He agrees on one condition, that they can keep hooking up during these 4 days, and they're like, well, good exchange. You be my date, we can have sex, great. The reason being that Poppy's mother is kind of crazy and always is just very not skeptical. Can't think of the word. Poppy's mum's just kind of a bitch. And she doesn't want to show up dateless, because she knows her mum will think she's ruining her sister's wedding. So they show up, and it turns out that Adam is actually a really famous hockey player that her family absolutely love, and this sends off alarm bells to like half her family, who she eventually tells, like, yeah, we've just met, we haven't actually been dating for like 4 months. So the whole wedding weekend is spent making sure that Poppy's mum doesn't find out that Poppy and Adam aren't actually in a pretty committed relationship. And during this time, it's like one big long date for Adam and Poppy, and they go really close to one another, even though they know at the end of the 4 days they're going to split up, because they kind of run in different circles and they don't really feel like they're going to be able to work together away from like back in the real world kind of thing. This was such a really fun, cute novel. Oh, this is one of the reasons why I love Emma, because she can write some really great characters, both male and female, and they're just so great to read from. This was really, really fun. I really recommend it. If you want to, seriously, this is probably one of the first Emma Hart books you do need to check out. I mean, they're all great, but this one was just, oh, so good. Then we have The Hookup Experiment by Emma Hart, the first book in the experiment duology, although this is a spin-off to The Upside to Being Single, which I talked about, I think, in my last wrap up, which is actually kind of a spin-off of another little series. Oh, it was actually, they're like little Easter eggs all throughout Emma's books of how they're all connected. It's so good. Anyway, so we follow Peyton, who runs a hookup website called Pick a Dick. She is given a bet by Dominic, who is her brother, who runs their sister website, their sister dating website, that it is impossible to sleep with someone 3 times and not fall in love. And Peyton believes it is so possible you can sleep with someone 3 times and still have really no romantic feelings for them. So Dominic bets her $500 to prove him wrong. And her friends use the website to pick a guy, and she's like, great, I can just win this bet. And she even thinks she can win when she turns up to like their first little date, like, you know, when it turns out to be someone from high school who kind of broke her heart back in high school and she's hated ever since, thinking, hey, if I hate this guy, I'm not going to be able to like fall in love with him. Turns out she was wrong, because she soon finds out Elliot's reasons why he did the things he did back in high school, and he's got a lot going on in his life. He is a widowed single father. He's a single father. I don't remember what happened to the mother. I think she died. To this really gorgeous little girl who honestly was written so well. She was just so funny. Oh, I loved it. Whose grandparents are fighting for custody. So when Peyton kind of gets all these explanations, she kind of changes her opinion of Elliot, and you know, well, they kind of do fall in love. This was really fun. Peyton was such a really fun and sassy character, and the whole story was balanced out so well with Elliot, who had very much more of a serious story. And as I said, his little daughter was just so cute. It's so fun to read about in a book. So good. Again, 4 out of 4 stars. Next Emma Hart book is Being Brooke, which is the first book in the Barley Cross duology. I gave this one also 4 out of 5 stars. We are, of course, following our main character Brooke, who has been in love with her best friend Kane for like ever. He's currently dating like a plastic bimbo biatch. And it's kind of been more recently that Brooke has kind of realized her feelings for Kane are like getting stronger, and it's getting a little bit hard to deal with. And then Kane starts to have troubles in his relationship and ends up breaking up with whatever his girlfriend's name was. And that kind of throws Brooke into like this new stage, I suppose, in their like relationship, because he's currently unattached, and yeah, they have to kind of navigate these feelings for one another. All the while, Brooke is trying to figure out what the hell she's doing with her life. She kind of has no idea what she's doing. She can barely adult, let's just say that. Brooke was such a relatable character in this book. Like, oh, never has a character in a book been so relatable. And also the narration was really fun, because there are moments when she's actually talking to you as a reader, but it kind of doesn't feel like that, but it is. So good. I'm nearly finished the second book, Catch and Carly, which we had hints of what was going to happen in that book in this one. So hopefully by the time I do another wrap up in like 4 months time, that will be on the list. But this was a really, really fun one as well. Then taking a break from the Emma Hart books, we have Irish on the Rocks by Megan Vernon, the second book in the Murphy Brothers series. I've been so excited for this book since I finished reading the first book earlier in the year when it came out. So the moment this one arrived on my iPad, I was like, yes! So in the first book, we are introduced to the 3 Murphy brothers, whose father owned and ran a really big whiskey brewing pub. I don't think they brewed whiskey. Did they brew whiskey? They definitely owned like a big pub chain in Dublin and across Ireland, and I think internationally. Anyway, he died, sadly. And in the will, it was revealed that the brothers can only inherit their 1/3 share of the company if they are married within a year of the reading of the will, and then I think they have to stay married for at least 6 months. So in the first book, Connor is the brother we follow. He's the middle brother. He ends up going into like a marriage of convenience, falling in love. So in this one, we pick up pretty much almost after all that, following the eldest brother, Jack, who is stressing out about the company and getting like his share, making sure that they don't lose it, because if any of the brothers fail, then their share of the company can be sold to the members of the board, which they don't want to see happen. So Jack ends up reconnecting with Grace, who is his younger brother Sean's best friend. She comes home from London to live, and they've had like this really weird relationship their entire life. So there are kind of like sparks flying, but also like not. Jack ends up giving Grace a job as his secretary, since his previous secretary is the one who married his brother. And her grandfather is actually one of the members of the board, and he really wants Grace to pursue something with Jack just so that they can get a share of the company. And Grace knows that Jack needs to find someone in order to keep the company, but she doesn't want to be involved with that. And Jack does actually want to get married out of love, not just for the company also, but not just pick a random girl off the street and marry her. But you know, they kind of like each other. So this was so good. I'm so excited for the final book. I can't wait to see what Megan does with Sean's story. Yes, Sean's story, because I feel like that's going to be a good one. But yeah, this was such a good second book. Definitely recommend checking out the Murphy Brothers series if you haven't read anything by Megan before. Then I read Losing the Field by Abby Glines. This is the 4th book in the Field Party series, which is kind of the first book in the entire Field Party series. So the first 3 books followed the then seniors. At the end of the 3rd book, they graduate. So now this picks up in the new senior year, and we follow Nash and Tallulah. Nash is a really good football player. He was planning on spending his senior year playing football and then getting scouted, getting a scholarship. I don't know if he wanted to play football professionally, but like football's a big part of his life. However, during the summer, he is playing like backyard football. He gets injured. He like tears and breaks things in his leg. So he now walks with a limp, and he'll never be able to play football again. So he kind of enters his senior year with no idea about what he's doing with his life. And at the same time, we have Tallulah, who has always been big, plus size, until on the final day before summer, she overhears Nash laughing at a joke at her expense. And Nash has always been the one guy who has not treated her like crap because of her weight, like is always nice to her, always stands up for her, and here he is laughing at a joke at her expense. So she spends the summer losing a hell of a lot of weight, determined to come back in senior year to make Nash feel as shit as she did, and as crap as he made her feel. But when she arrives back, she finds out about what happened to him and kind of notices that none of his friends really understand what he's going through. They're just all like, yeah, get over it, you'll be fine. So they kind of find comfort in one another. But then there's other stuff happening. There's other people getting involved. I ended up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars, which I think is like one of the lowest ratings I've given an Abby Glines book. I didn't enjoy this as much as I did the first 3 books. And there was some iffy moments in here. One of the things I thought Abby wrote really well is that there is a teacher who starts abusing his power when it comes to Tallulah and kind of making advances towards her. It was so uncomfortable to read, and like you're meant to feel uncomfortable because it's not wanted by Tallulah. It's kind of, you know, it's that very manipulative power play, and it was so uncomfortable to read those scenes, and I applaud Abby for being able to write them like that. In such a way, like, oh, it was cringy, but it was so good. There's a couple of things that I didn't really like about this book, or that I just felt like didn't really work well. First is in regards to that whole teacher relationship thing. Definitely just go read my review for this. I feel like I explained it pretty well in that. But yeah, it was good in one respect, but there was a lot of things that were just a little bit iffy, which is why I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's kind of between 3 and 3.5. Like I'm kind of in the middle. It was good. It was all right. I'm interested to see what happens with the next book and see what happens. Back to Emma Hart. The next book is Best Served Cold, which is one of her newer books, which was so good. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars probably. This book I gave 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars. I can't quite remember, but it was so good. I don't even remember what are our characters' names. So we follow Raylene, who owns an ice cream store, and it is a family ice cream shop. It's been passed down through the generations, and it's kind of failing because there is an ice cream store right next door opened by Chase, who is Raylene's ex-boyfriend, and for the past 2 years her business has been failing while Chase's has been getting a lot of business, and she thinks that Chase stole all her design ideas and opened up a store right next door to get revenge for their breakup. Turns out, no, it wasn't. Oh, Chase is such so she decides that she needs something to bring people back in. She needs to update the place, so she's going to renovate it for 2 weeks. It doesn't really start off very well. Seeing the close renovation sign prompts Chase to actually go and see what she's doing, and they haven't spoken in 2 years. So Chase, they start talking again, and Raylene gets injured doing some of the renovating, so Chase offers to help out. She's very thrown because, like, why would he help? And they begin to reconnect, and Raylene soon finds out why Chase opened the ice cream shop next door. But it was just, oh, this was such a fun book. I loved it so much, and we get to see Raylene creating all of these really awesome ice cream designs, like mermaid and unicorn and princess, and it was just so fun. It made me really want to, like, firstly go get ice cream, but also own an ice cream store, because I was like, this sounds like it's going to be fun. This was a really, really great book. As I say, I really, really liked it. This is another Emma Hart book that you should definitely read if you've not read anything by her. This is also a good place to start. So rounding out Emma Hart books and this entire wrap up, which has been going on for so long, is Mixed Up, which I kind of regret reading when I did, because I'm in the middle of reading the book Casanova, which actually takes place before Mixed Up. It's frustrating. Anyway, in this one we are following Raven, who owns a bar in Whiskey Keys called Dirty, and she has all of these amazingly dirty named cocktails. And it's a big draw card, and she decides that she is going to open up a kitchen as part of the bar in order to serve food and obviously bring more people in. And she decides, because she's part Greek, she ends up deciding to do Greek food. And initially she was going to have her brother work for her over the summer until she could hire someone new, especially because she's got all of her Greek family, and I think her even other half of the family, but everyone in her family is coming to Whiskey Keys for for their yearly reunion, and they're lobbying at her bar, so she needs food to be going by the time they get there. Her neighbor, her brother's best friend, and her worst enemy, Parker, ends up returning home from New York. He is a Michelin star chef. For some reason they hate each other. There's never really explained why they hate each other. It's just like they've always hated each other. And she doesn't want to, but she ends up hiring him for the summer while he's back, just so that he just wants to help her get the restaurant part up and going, and then train up someone so that way he can leave at the end of summer and you know, crap off. And also because she knows that he's really good at making Greek food because her mother taught him. Yeah. And just working in close quarters, you know, it's that cliched working in close quarters thing, resulting in, you know, feelings and hooking up and things like that. This was just a really fun one, really sweet. I love everything to do with Emma Hart. Anyway, this was a really good one, another great place to start, although I do really recommend starting off with Casanova before this one, because Casanova is about other, like, characters who become side characters in this book, but everything in it predates this one. Anyway, okay, I think that's it. This is the longest wrap up I've ever done. This is why I don't like leaving wrap ups until I have so many books. So I feel like this will probably be my last wrap up for the year, unless I get another chance to sit down, unless I get a chance to firstly finish reading a number of books that I've started and then actually sitting down and filming a video. But if you do want my thoughts on all of the books I've talked about and any other books that I've read this year or will be reading this year, make sure you head over to my blog where I have reviews for every single book that I've read. A couple of the last, I think there's only one book in this video that I haven't actually reviewed yet. Fingers crossed I can get that written by the time the video goes up. If not, just follow me on Twitter to see when I post reviews. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on any of the books I've talked about, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!